A common question I get asked is, what if I'm bidding over ask and I get the accepted offer, but the appraisal comes in lower than what I'm actually buying it for? Well, let's go over that today. And before I get into that, please hit the like button below, hit the subscribe button, and turn on your notifications so you can be updated every time I come out with one of these videos. So when you're submitting an offer, especially in today's market, it's often going over asking price, so you run the risk of the property not appraising. Now, some people think you're just dead in the water when this happens, but it's not always the case. There are options. Let's say you put in an offer on a property for $100,000 when the original ask was $95,000. And let's say that you are putting a minimum down payment down. In this case, we'll call it 3%, so $3,000. If you get the accepted offer and the appraisal comes in at 95, then you have two options. Option one, you go back to the sellers and let them know what the appraised amount was. You can even show them the appraisal to prove it, which likely is the case. They'll want to see it. And you just say, hey, look, can we change the purchase price to 95 because that's all it's worth? See what they say. Most sellers are pretty reasonable and they'll take it, but every now and then, they could just say, all right, we're just going to go back on the market because somebody else will buy it for 100. The other option you have is to make up that difference in cash. And what that means is now, instead of putting $3,000 down, you're going to bring that $5,000 difference between the 100 and the 95, and then your down payment of 3% is actually calculated off of the 95,000 appraised value. So the down payment is always based off of the lesser of the appraised value and the purchase price. So now, instead of bringing 3,000, you're going to bring 5,000 plus the 3% of 95, which is 2850. All right, so you all of a sudden have to bring 7850 to closing for your down payment rather than 3,000. So that's a more expensive option. Some people do have the money in their account to cover it, so that might be a viable option. Now, the other one that's slightly more complex, but definitely easier in terms of still getting to closing. Let's say that same scenario, you're buying it for 100,000, but it comes in appraised at 95,000. But this time, instead of putting a minimum down payment of 3%, you're actually putting 10% down. Well, this becomes a lot easier. You're putting 10,000 down. Your loan to value is 90%. Since you already are bringing 10,000 to closing, we can just keep that number and just say, okay, 5,000 of it is to make up the difference. The other 5 is going to go to the down payment. And in that case, it's just going to change your loan to value to just under 95%, which is fine. It will change your PMI. It might change your interest rate, but at least you can still move forward without having to go back to the seller and renegotiate. And of course, that's still an option. And talk to your realtor. Maybe that's the best option. But if it doesn't pan out, then you still have this as a backup plan. You're still good to go. So that's it. If you do have an appraisal come in under value, you're not dead in the water. There are a couple options. And I hope this helps you get out of some sticky situations in the future.